they were replacing over out now, we got all together. You have to follow the weeds out, and the fellow getting her out replacing over. I'm not real VDOT, VSC, like what over this is what's happening, this started out, and they were doing something. Our building is back. Our building is back. Oh. Okay.
When you are ready.
Ready down there, gentlemen? Whoa. Might have to back me off a little bit. Okay, very well. Then I will call the Madison Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Let the record show that we do have a quorum with Judge Buchanan missing. So the first order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda from the staff?
As always, if there's an amendment to the agenda, I make you aware of it. So I know your question is in additions, no, but technically
Okay.
there was an update. So when we get to the discussion of new business, there were some words that were
Sure.
updated in the document. So
Okay.
that will be the only thing that's new today, sir.
No, not in special meetings, we don't.
Okay, just wanted to.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, anything from the board, any change to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Go ahead, Mike.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have some public comment? We will do it again at the end, but. We don't do that on special meetings. Yeah. So is there any public comment? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Jim Smith. I'm from Brightwood. I'm speaking in support of the referendum to seek voter approval to add a 1% additional local sales and use tax for the school construction, to fund school construction. And I'll provide copies of this when I'm through, but even the uninformed can recognize that property taxes raise revenue proportional to housing values. And for those whose focus is on housing supply, this ratio distorts housing consumption and creates unequal tax burdens on households receiving the same public services. Nevertheless, the practice of relying on property taxes persists as a primary revenue generator or for financing of local public expenditures. The untoward effects of continuing this path has been the subject of discussion by this Board of Supervisors and has been quantified and demonstrated by Mr. Jewett, who provided graphs showing the trajectory of this path. The inefficiency of using property taxes as the primary revenue generator for public expenditures has been a topic of academic interest and study since the early 1990s. We have found through public hearings that landowners really don't need postdoctoral studies to understand the impact of property taxes. Across the country, property taxes increased by nearly 25% from 2019 through 2023, with an increase of 7% in just this last year alone. And the Foundation for Government Accountability has reported that spending by local governments has more than doubled over 2 decades to $2 trillion. They attributed that to reckless spending by boards of supervisors. That is certainly not the case here. Our Board of Supervisors most assuredly does not spend tax dollars unnecessarily on or outlandish services, nor does it tax excessively, recognizing that what constitutes excessive taxation is something that's personal to each and every county citizen. Nevertheless, the real estate taxes here have grown from 41.6% of our 2027 budget up from 40.3% for 2026. This is not sustainable. One thing is sure, and that is the fact that the property tax is the largest tax landowners the county citizens pay in support of their government. Equally as certain is the fact that this explanation of taxable basis, tax rate, reassessment, and equalization falls on deaf ears. You can explain it to folks, but you can't understand it for them. We cannot overcome the deficiency in knowledge or basic civics, but we can restructure the tax base to lessen our dependence on the real estate property tax. This 1% sales tax for school construction will start the process of revamping the tax base by creating another path to finance capital projects in the county. As an added item, our real estate taxes owed are paid by those who owning property. In Madison, while the sales tax will be paid by Madisonians as well as drive-throughs traveling on Route 29, 20, 230, and 231 who stop to purchase taxable or make taxable expenditures. Do I have concerns? You bet I have concerns. Some are in the lack of definition, which is not uncommon in our code. What constitutes renovations? What constitutes a school? These terms must be defined in advance by competent authorities for those who wish to fund the projects and sales taxes. I do take comfort in knowing that this board will be the gatekeeper for those expenditures. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? Okay, very well. We will close public comment. We have no old business. We have new business, the additional 1% local sales tax for school construction. Mr. Weekly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and I believe I am tracking Mr. Wright our counsel is online as he is traveling, but he and I have spent extensive time and also appreciate the dialogue that our counsel has had with Mr. Smith and members of the Board of Supervisors. As you are well aware, it still scratches my head how a legislative act became a law through a appropriation process, but that is not the discussion for today. Part of the passage of HB 30, the budget bill, does afford via voter referendum for localities to make the voter referendum via resolution. So I always put on the docket as a discussion and consideration, not assume that you want to pass this, but we've had many conversations going back to our budget. What the state of Virginia has allowed you to do is to basically assess an additional 1% local sales tax for the sole purpose of school construction and renovation. For those who like to read further in the code, we are Planning District 9. We are not Planning District 8. That planning district was given additional provisions to also use those additional tax dollars for transportation projects if they so wish. We were not given that provision. So we're just looking at an additional 1% for construction or renovations. Hannah's done a wonderful job. He has prepared 3 documents that is in your packet. A resolution, which is essentially the trigger point, the action that gets the ball rolling. If you want to seek voter referendum, the resolution would need to be passed. And then that resolution gives, via action from the board, direction to the attorney, myself, the deputy county administrator, to carry out any additional acts such as filing the petition and providing the court order to the circuit court clerk for the judge to review and ultimately make a decision. We are tracking a very short timeline. The initial budget language provided that action needed to be taken, action via the resolution, 105 days before Election Day, which is November the 3rd. Early voting starts September the 18th. They have since revised that. There were some amendments back and forth with the governor to 81 days. So that was an update in your resolution and the other documents. Do appreciate the recommendations to not necessarily define schools to the T, what is a school, but we did add public in front of schools. So this is public schools. This isn't looking at the benefit of a private school, merely our public schools that is serving the county. So that was an update. A little clarification. Sometimes generally, whether it's in contracts or resolutions, you'll see a numeric. A lot of times, folks also like to use alphanumeric and numeric to get the point across. So the language was updated that you would be able to administer up to, but not to exceed 1% additional sales tax. And that 1% is laid out in both alphanumeric and numeric in the resolution and all the documents. Additional things to add, this is a sunset provision. I believe that was asked by one of the Board of Supervisors at a prior meeting. I did review that language, and that did stay in. Essentially, they were looking at, if you're financing via bond or loans, the tax itself would sunset by the term of that loan. Most loans are 20 years or more, some going somewhere with the 2046 date here in a minute. If you're not funding that way, overall, maximum 20 years is the sunset. And the way this resolution is drafted, and forgive me, let me put that up on the screen. We have the petition in here. The resolution reflects the 81 days. You have the 1% that I referenced there. Yeah, here we go. So basically, your expiration would be July 6, 2046, would be the lifetime, if you will, of the loan. And that's based on the resolution. That's what the state code says. It's not from when you actually go take out the financing. It's from when you adopt the resolution. And I know today's the 7th, but these documents had prepared, so that's why it has the 6th. Good question. I know you have Mr. Jewett, and Hannah's online. He can go a little further about any exemptions to, I believe it was groceries and personal hygiene products. The resolution doesn't necessarily need that. I did go and look for another example. Rappahannock County just acted on this resolution yesterday at their board meeting. But I definitely think as far as I know, there's being op-eds and analytical reports prepared. I know you're a big part of that effort, sir. That'd probably be a good time to include that as we move to educate the public. So that would be my recommendation there. Everyone has been informed of this, to include our registrar, the electoral board, our treasurer, commissioner of revenue, the clerk of the court, who has also notified the judge. So staff is available for any questions you have, but before I yield questions, I'd like to give time for Mr. Wright to maybe possibly cover the petition and the court order, if there's anything specific, sir, you wish to inform the board.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you hear me okay. Let me know if you cannot. The statute is interesting. I mean, there's a couple of different, drafting things we can talk about if we do the public for schools, whether it's for renovation or construction versus renovation and construction, schools in the county versus serving the county. There's a couple of weird phrases used in this statute that we're sifting through as best we can. I think John did a good job of teeing it up. In terms of next steps, if you all decide to pass this resolution, then
In Madison County.
I would take the resolution along with the draft petition, and we would file it with the circuit court. The judge would review the petition. I do not believe there's going to be the need for a hearing, and then he would potentially endorse the order. And then we would just need to make sure that that is done, and that's my problem, before 81 days before the November 3rd election. And then going forward, if people were to say yes to this tax, we would have 120 days on the backside of that to pass an ordinance imposing the tax. So I think if it's July 7th today, then that tax is probably, not going in, till next year, early at first, maybe July 1 next year.
Everywhere or just right from the start? Let's ask him.
But that's all I got.
The intent.
Thank you, Hannon. Additionally, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I should have put the question up. The question is found in your resolution as well in the petition. Forgive me. Look at your resolution. We'll go there because that back screen is not working. If you go to the second page of Resolution 2026-16, first paragraph, right after the bold print, and I'm going to read this because matter of record. The question as listed for language is, should Madison County be authorized to levy a general retail sales tax at a rate not to exceed 1%, provided the revenue from the sales tax authorized by Virginia Code Section 58.1-605.1 shall be used solely for capital projects for the construction or renovation of public schools in Madison County, with such tax to expire upon repayment of any bonds or loans issued to fund such projects by July 6, 2046, or in the case of capital projects not financed by bonds or loans, the sales tax shall expire on July 6, 2046. The question mark is intentional because it's a question we're posed showing that how it would be on the ballot. So that's what I wanted to add in addition. Any questions for either Mr. Wright or myself?
Go ahead. You can ask him.
Mr. Wright, I have a question, just clarification. I know we've been over this multiple times, but in the preamble to the resolution, it states renovation of public schools in Madison County. When you come down to the first resolved clause, it says for capital projects for the construction and renovation of schools serving the county. Is that conflicting language, or is that not conflicting language?
I don't believe it's conflicting language. I think what we're trying to do is, why don't we call them the Venn diagram and where they overlap, which is the public schools of Madison County are also schools that are serving Madison County.
Okay, thank you.
Then, well, so my one question, Jonathan, was, so such tax to expire upon repayment of any bonds or loans issued to fund such projects. So there is an S on there. So you could have multiple projects during a 20-year period. So ultimately, you're probably going to end up with July of 2046.
Absolutely. And that's kind of how we laid it out, whether it's a loan or some other way,
Yeah.
because it would be a heavy lift. I mean, we don't know what that is yet. I know Mr. Jewett and I will be meeting with the schools to have some discussion on school construction and maybe some estimates and things like that. But until we really get a good idea of what the A&E firm is doing a study right now, until we get that report back, we won't have a good idea. But yeah, 20 years is a safe bet, and that's as far as the code allows. they're further and Hannah did a good job. He and I spoke about this earlier, Mr. Jewett. Really what we try to do here is mirror what the language has in the code that I brought up on the screen. Some reason they started, now we added public at the beginning, but a lot of things, they'll just reference schools. Again, one of the things we went back and forth with, they have construction and renovations, and then they have construction or renovations. Like, I see it as both.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it binds us to one or the other. You may have renovations and an addition being done. Who knows?
All right, other questions from the board at this point? Nancy, you got anything? All right, very well. We have Resolution 2026-16 in front of us. Resolution of the Madison County Board of Supervisors initiating a referendum for imposition of an additional local general retail sales tax at a rate not to exceed 1%, the proceeds of which would be to provide revenue solely for capital projects for construction and renovation of public schools in Madison County. So I'd entertain a motion on this resolution.
Well, Mr. Chairman, can I make my comments during the discussion?
Yes, sure.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So got to get a motion regarding this resolution, be it up or down.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt Resolution 2026-16.
All right, very well. We have a motion. Second. And a second to adopt Resolution 2026-16. Further discussion?
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jewett?
Okay, a couple of things on this. The first thing, I found interesting about this is that this is really an example of home rule versus Dillon rule. This is unusual for our General Assembly to give localities the ability to raise their own taxes or make their own decisions. Usually they're trying to take it in the other direction. So I think it's a good thing, and hopefully it will whet localities' appetites to lobby the General Assembly for more home rule actions in the future. Aside from that, we are going to do the analysis on this because I think it's unfair to taxpayers, I think it's unfair to school students not to be transparent with this and to do an objective analysis without a predetermined conclusion, and that's what we're trying to do. I'm going to start with Supervisor Schneider and I are working with our Commissioner of Revenue, Mr. Daniel, to analyze the tax situation with regard to how this would affect our taxes in the county. I know that there's a couple of things that are related to this that we need to do some more analysis on. The estimate is for 1% sales tax levied by the localities now, or by the state that's returned to the localities, runs in the neighborhood of about $1.7 to $1.8 million a year. Now, that includes groceries. So this one excludes groceries. So we have to subtract from that amount what we would estimate this new tax would be. And if I recall from a couple of years ago, when I was having an argument with one of our state representatives about losing our 1% grocery tax, I believe the amount was $400,000 that we would have lost. So you can take that, say 1.7 million, and under the new additional 1%, it's probably looking at bringing in about, say, 1.2, 1.3 million. So we want to get a better estimate of how much the revenue will be. Some other things that we're looking at with that is that the big question is how much of that sales tax is going to be paid by outsiders, non-residents. There's estimates anywhere from 20 to 25%. That's something else we want to try to nail down a little bit closer. And I think that along those lines, a tangent to that is, I think it really gives impetus to our economic development program and getting more things, businesses along Route 29, working with RSA to get extended sewer and water out there. We have a couple of businesses that want to come in out there, and they can't because they don't have these services. But those are the kind of businesses that will pull more money off of the folks running up and down 29, the outsiders. I don't like to use the term outsider, but non-residents. So these are some things, we live in a complex system, and we have to try to make everything work together. So that's one thing. And then as Mr. Weekly alluded to, we are going to be trying to meet with Mr. Timmons and, again, Mr. Schneider, who's on the CARP committee, to get an idea of what our projected projects are going to be for the next 5 to 20 years to the degree that we can do that. one of the big arguments that I have heard against this 1% sales tax from opponents is that why are we going to vote for more money, more taxes, so the schools can just spend more money? Which is not the point. But in order to refute that point, we need to have a plan to say, okay, this is the plan, this is the money we're going to need, this is why we want to try to find, we have to find ways to finance it. So I think that by having a comprehensive, non-predetermined analysis on this, how this will affect the county, would be a great way to give voters the information that they need to make a decision. I'm trying to think if there's anything else along those lines. No, I don't think there is, but thanks to the folks that are working on this, I really appreciate it, and I think it's going to have a good conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Any further discussion?
I have a quick question for legal before you take a vote. And in normal resolution, we do the motion second and take a vote. Should this be done by roll call? Does it matter?
Or do it by roll call, let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Very well. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Snyder?
Aye.
Mr. Jewett?
Aye.
Ms. Sharman? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Discussion, we have nothing listed. Back to public comment. Is any, what you got back there, Kim? Nothing. Public comment? All right, very well. We will close public comment. We have no closed session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed, nay. All right, motion